everybody, welcome to another video. Today's video, I wanted to talk with you about wheelbase. So, wheelbase, what is it? How do you measure it? What is the difference in shorter versus longer wheelbase? You got a shorter wheelbase, you're gonna have quicker pop, and you're gonna have a little bit more control from a tech standpoint, meaning like flipping tricks and things like that will be, and I shouldn't say control, I should say it'll be easier to flip, easier to pop, easier to, or I should say not necessarily easier, but takes less effort to pop, less effort to flip. How easy it is, I guess, that's kind of subjective, but it will take less effort. When you get into longer wheelbases, once you start getting up to the 14.5s and above, it changes the characteristics a lot, in my opinion. Meaning that it will be, your board is going to feel heavier when you go to pop. Any kind of ollies or anything you might be doing where you need to get the board off the ground, it's going to feel heavier. But the nice thing about it is that when you're going over some rough terrain, or say you're skating very fast and you're hitting big stairs, big gaps, big rails, that longer wheelbase is going to give you a little bit more control over the board on those ollies, on the rough terrain. So, short wheelbase, quicker pop because the board feels lighter, and it's a little bit easier to flip the board around. Longer wheelbase, you've got, it's going to feel heavier. It's going to pop slower, but you're going to have more control over the board. It's going to feel more stable under your feet, especially in higher speed situations. With all that being said, you can adjust and get used to one or the other, and adjust your skating to accommodate that. But there are a lot of people that are into different styles of skateboarding, and they choose a certain wheelbase based off of that. For example, you've got a lot of people that, a lot of vert skaters, a lot of transition skaters, and a lot of street skaters that are hitting a lot of big stuff, a lot of big gaps, a lot of big rails, are going for longer wheelbases. Shorter wheelbases are typically going for people that are a little bit more into the whole, tech, ledge, flip trick sort of game, just because they do get that, quicker pop, easier flick. Quicker flick, I should say. Another thing also is, how tall are you? How long are your legs? I'm 5'8", 5'9" on a good day. And if you're, like 6'2", and you're getting on a board that is, has a 14-inch wheelbase, your legs are probably going to feel like they're ready to like knock knees, a little bit too close together. So height has a big difference with what you choose. And again, this is all personal preference. It's all very subjective when it comes to what size board, what size wheelbase. However, I haven't seen very many people that are over 6 feet that are riding a board with a 14-inch wheelbase. I have seen it, but not a lot. And usually those guys are just sticking to doing a lot of tech stuff on manual pads and ledges. Then again, I have seen kids, I'll go to the skate park and I'll see kids that are riding boards that have like a 14.75 to a 15-inch wheelbase on these monster like 9-inch boards, and they're doing the techest of tech. It's all what you're used to, but when it comes to the physics of it all, if you are struggling and you're riding a board with a longer wheelbase, you're struggling with, getting your ollies a certain height. You're struggling with some of those flip tricks and shove it tricks. Try stepping down the wheelbase on your board. You'll find that it will make the board work a little bit easier for you, and you might have a better time trying to get some of those tricks to come around. With that being said, let me show you how to measure wheelbase on a board. So, board companies typically measure the wheelbase from the back bolt on the front truck to the front bolt on the back truck. So the tape measure is in the middle, center of that hole, and then down to the center of the other one. So this board measures at 14.38. What wheelbase really is, though, is it's the distance between the two wheels in the middle of the board. Same as it is on a car or anything else that has wheels, a bicycle, you name it. So, so basically, the board companies will measure it, as I showed you. However, there are other things that affect wheelbase. One of them are the trucks. Trucks, different brands will actually, with their geometry, their unique geometry will have, will create a different wheelbase based on how that hanger sits near or far away from the kingpin. Example. So I set up this kind of, rig job, if you will, to kind of show you the difference between two different trucks. So on the right is a Thunder 149, and on the left is an independent 149. So, the junk rulers right here, I just wanted to use for their straight edges so I could line up the bolt holes on the trucks evenly and then show you the difference in wheelbase. So if you look right here, I'll give you more of a top view. You can see that the hanger on the independent truck actually sits a little closer to the kingpin than on the Thunder truck. Therefore, if you're riding independent trucks, it's going to give you a shorter wheelbase than the Thunder trucks. So right here, it looks like it's somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch difference. But then, you take that times 2, and that can make a pretty significant difference in wheelbase on a board. A lot of people say, I don't ride Indies because they're heavy. I ride Thunders because they're lighter. And, there's some merit to that. However, because of the wheelbase difference, for a lot of aspects of skateboarding, you wouldn't notice much of a difference weight-wise if you had Indies on versus Thunders, just because of the wheelbase issue. So the Indies are, in fact, quite a bit heavier than Thunders. If you're comparing apples to apples, like the Hololight truck versus the Thunder Hololight truck, whatever. But with that shorter wheelbase, the Indy is going to feel like it is just as light as the Thunder truck. Maybe even feel lighter when it's on the board, just because it will pop quicker because of that shorter wheelbase. And it will just generally feel lighter to your feet. And so, with that being said, there are other truck manufacturers. I haven't skated Ventures in a while, but I think Ventures actually lengthen the wheelbase. I could be wrong, but I know a bunch of people that skate Ace trucks. And Ace trucks actually shorten the wheelbase more than independent trucks. So with the, if you're really, you have a new board and you love the shape of the board, but the wheelbase is a little bit too long for you, maybe change up your trucks. Or same, if you think the wheelbase might be feeling a little bit too short, too quick to pop, you don't like that feeling. You want something that has a little bit more resistance and control. Then, once again, change your trucks up, give that a try, because it's going to switch that wheelbase. So that basically sums up, at least at a relatively high level, wheelbase. And, there might be some things that I missed. If so, leave me a comment. If there's anything else that you would like to see, or you have any other questions about wheelbase, leave me a comment below. Leave some suggestions as well as to some other types of videos that you would like to see. I would like to do one just talking about board sizes, truck sizes, basically putting together a board that is right for you. But I have some other ideas in the works as well. In the meantime, though, let me check something here. Okay, so actually, enough of this talking. It's time to go skate. So I'm going to head over to the Braille House and get in a quick session. And now you can watch it.
Netflix and chill!
All right, so it's actually the next day, kind of late afternoon already, starting to get dark. But we finished the session at the Braille House and just kind of sat around talking for a while. And unfortunately, I forgot to film an outro. So anyway, here it is. I do want to say thanks a lot to Gabe and Mario for hooking up the session yesterday, and also to Carlos Lastra for actually taking a lot of time to film the few clips of me that I actually got for the video, but also doing a couple of super gnarly tricks as well. Super appreciated. So yesterday was my first day back on the board after 3.5 weeks, and so, you know, kind of getting back into it took a little bit, but I was also testing out some different gear to see how it worked. So up until this point, I had filmed everything yesterday on this setup. So basically an iPhone 10 with a Moment wide-angle lens. Just wanted to see how that works, and I gotta say, you know, there's probably a slight learning curve with this gear, but initially I'm not very impressed. I don't really like the optical image stabilization on the iPhone very much. I thought that my iPhone 6 took much better video when it came to skateboarding. I prefer to rely on steady hands other than optical image stabilization. I think the stabilization just gives it kind of a weird blur effect, and I would rather see the camera shake a little bit than actually get that weird blur effect to it. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just getting used to the setup, so I'll give it another couple of goes before I make my decision whether or not I want to continue using that for some things. Anyway, that's about it, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks.
What was that?
That's all it was. Caused all that pain. No, get that thing away from me. Gotta be kidding me.